Hey everybody, Chad Madden here with Breakthrough, and had an owner question, and I'm just going to read it. Also presented some material here for you as well. I think you'll really enjoy it if you're a private practice owner. So the owner asked, is it possible to grow your practice and increase the number of patients you see after losing physician referrals? And the simple answer is yes. I really should move that. There we go. And so here's how to think about it. If your physician referrals are declining, where else can you get new patient flow from? And there's a pretty obvious answer when you think about this logically. So there are three target markets for any private practice owner. There are physician referrals, there's your past patient list, right? So past patients can be reactivated, or they can refer other people. So, and by the way, this is true whether you have direct access or not. You don't need legal permission to market to your patients. Long before we had direct access, I still marketed to my past patient list. And then the third place you can go is the general public. So obviously, if we're having a decline in physician referrals, we want to replace and actually elevate those last two target markets. So we need to learn how to do that. And that's what we're going to talk about here today. The problem, or what gets in the way, is that historically, if we look at physical therapy as an industry, there's been a linear referral model. If you go back to the end of World War I, when physical therapists were reconstruction aides, that we pretty much lived in that model for 80 or 90 years, from the late 1910s or the 19 teens. But you get the idea. So we were so used to just relying on physician referrals that when they started to go away, we didn't really know how to replace that. And it was almost a handicap for us because we weren't forced to learn how to go to our past patient list or learn how to go direct to the consumer like almost every other industry has to, right? So very few other industries, very few other service professionals have this benefit of somebody else referring business to them all the time, right? It's almost unique to PT. So when that started to go away and that changed, that creates a lot of confusion. And it's still a problem for many owners. The other thing that happened is, I'm sure you've seen this, but PT in Motion in April of 2018 published a study that was originally done in the Journal of General Internal Medicine a month or two before. And they looked at physician referrals to PT from 2003 to 2014. And it was for three specific types of low back pain diagnosis. And there was a 50% plus, I believe off the top of my head, it was 54.5% decrease in physician referrals to physical therapy over that 11-year, 12-year span, right? So that is real. 4 or 5 years ago, when we were at the association meeting and I was talking with fellow private practice owners, and I would ask about physician decline, there was pretty much universal denial that this was happening. And what was happening at the time is the conversation would say, "Oh, I'm doing really well. Okay, where do you can get your, in the last 12 months, what percentage of your patients have come through by physician referral? What percentage have come through by your past patient list? What percentage have come through by direct to the consumer, direct access, direct to the public?" And you can look at those three buckets like we talked about on the previous screen. And most owners that said that they were doing well said, 80 to 90% plus physician referrals. And I said, hey, by the way, this is happening in some markets. And the common answer was, that's unique to you in central Pennsylvania. That's not happening where we're at. Now we're almost all in that same boat where hospital systems have come in, they purchased physicians. They're no longer allowed to refer out to the private, independent private practice owner like you and I are. And there is a real decline. And we can show it numerically, right? So it's a real problem. The other thing that happened is we had this rise of direct access, which is fantastic and fortuitous, because if that would not be there, it would be a lot more challenging to diversify where we're getting our new patients from. So as physician referrals were declining, there was also a rise in the ability to see patients without a physician referral. By the way, there are ways to successfully mitigate this, even if you don't have direct access. But realize that any physical therapist, any physio, if you're watching this internationally, you can go direct to the consumer, regardless of whether you have direct access or not. There's a little hurdle in terms of calling the physician office and get them to sign off on a plan of care. But you get the idea. You can still go direct to the consumer, and therapists have done that historically. The best, fastest growing physical therapists have gone direct to the consumer long before they had direct access. And the other problem that it has created, other than us being like lulled a little bit from that physician referral model for years, and now this change more recently, is there's a lack of know-how of how to go direct to the consumer. And there's a lot of problems that can create as well. So that's the challenge that we're faced with today. And the next thing that we want to think about is, is this possible? I'm going to share a quick personal story, and then we'll get into some other owner wins. But in November of 2008, in my own private practice, this is a single location, site location. At the time, we had 154 physician referrals in a month. The other thing that I want to say about that is we were very broad. So we had no physician represented more than 6 of those total referrals in that said month. And I remember in 2008, we had over 200 different physicians, PAs, nurse practitioners referred to us. We were very wide and diversified. We understood how to get physician referrals. Remember, this is for a single site location. Since that time, we've had 3 hospital systems that have now purchased over 90% of the referral sources in my immediate area. I've lost my top referral source 4 times. That's the physician that's referring the most to us has either left the state, went out of practice, or opened their own POPs practice. I've had 5 POPs practices open up within 3 miles, and we have increased corporate competition. You know where I'm at in Central PA. We have 2 large corporate headquarters, and we compete with 30 to 40 of their clinics. So ton of competition that has increased over the last 10 years. In fact, last year, in our last 12 months, we only had at our main office, 11% of our new patients were from physician referrals. So dramatic decrease here. So what happened? Well, we grew from about 300 visits a week in 2008 to 600 visits a week plus. I think last week we hit 605. We now have, we went from 3 full-time teams, which is a PT, PTA, tech, which is we treat in teams, to 5.5 full-time teams. And during that time, we've opened 2 additional clinics. And really quickly, I want to explain something. Yesterday, we celebrated 1 year opening our 3rd clinic. And during that time, we have a clinical director and a partner there, Dan Hinterschitz, who he opened up in 1,200 square feet. 7 weeks in, he hit over 100 visits a week. And so that was September of 2018. By December, he said, hey, I'm out of space here. We need to expand. We added an additional 1,400 square feet. So he's now at 2,600 square feet. He hired a full-time PTA, full-time tech, a second full-time PT, and now a second full-time PTA as well. And he's on the eve of hiring a full-time marketer. And what did he do? Very little physician referral, less than 10% of his business is physician referral. This is in a new clinic. His second full month in, he was actually profitable. And he, with the exception of 1 month, he's been profitable every other month this year. And he hit a all-time highest profit just last month. And he's doing this in a legal, ethical way, going direct to the consumer, which is really, really cool. Because realize he doesn't have physician referrals there, or they're minimal, and he didn't have a patient list to market to. So he had to go direct to the consumer the whole way across the board. So pretty cool stuff there. But you get the idea. Very, very possible. And by the way, we're not alone. And I have a document here that I want to call up for you. So this is, these are people, practice owners that we've worked with, over 800 in the last 5 years, And by the way, they're in all 50 states, 12 countries internationally, that have been through our either our basic marketing course, or we work with them in something, it's called Product X, which is where we're going direct to the consumer, primarily with Facebook and Google ads, and driving people in from their past patient list, or direct to the consumer, driving people in for workshops, which is pretty effective. So anyhow, just wanted to scroll through. This document is very long. I think it's 500 and some pages. I can't see it right now, but you get the idea. So some wins. Here's Lauren, low back pain and sciatica workshop, 20 people registered. That's pretty cool. 17 showed up. Looks like 7 people scheduled. Annie and Michael Harmon here crushed it with a rotator cuff workshop, looks like. Here's Brinley Peterson going direct to the consumer. Parkinson's workshop last week, right? So not something I created. She actually took our back pain and sciatica and our rotator cuff workshop and then applied it to her practice. Really cool win there. Jamie Swanson, first rotator cuff workshop. Very, very cool. Steve Lyon, company just set a highest ever record of 576 visits this week. Our new patients are averaging 11% increase weekly year over year. I'm projecting 160 new patients, or nearly $270,000 in revenue growth year over year. Pretty cool stuff. Here's Noah crushing it out in Arizona. Yep, Jamie. So this is Stacy, really cool story in Massachusetts, private practice vet, 275,000 patient visits. Pretty cool stuff. And I forget Stacy's exact numbers, but she's in that same ballpark of 90% of her new patients come from either direct to consumer, direct access, or her past patient list. Really, really cool. And when we first met 4 or 5 years ago, Stacy was nearly 100% physician referrals. So huge decline there, but they're crushing it, continuing to grow. And I think they're out of space here. Quick win from Kim, another one from Jamie. Here's John Martin. Pretty cool win right here. Vestibular or balance and vertigo workshop. 35 people signed up, 39 showed up. That's pretty cool. So great stuff there. Here's Charles Dudley applying what he does. Going direct to the consumer. More wins from Kim. CAW stands for Captured Audience Workshop, but that's where another business that's like-minded hosts you for free to come in and present for their customer list. Really, really cool. Just wanted to show you that, this is very possible. Paul out in California, team coming to our clinic at Madam PT. TJ and Laura hiring physical therapist. Great stuff, right? So this is very, very possible, very, very doable. And even if you're in a situation, oh yeah, I wanted to share this really quick. So I just posted this, the question to our group. I think we have 1,300 people in here, and just literally posted this hour. We're in a weekday here, but anyhow, so I asked the same question to our group. How would you answer it? Dimple says yes. Kimberly, so this is really cool. In July of 2018, they did $2,800 in revenue. By the way, she and her husband were in practice for about a year at the time, if I remember correctly. This past July, they did $42,000 in revenue, right? And with no referral sources. Really, really cool stuff. So is it possible? Absolutely yes. And the last thing that I want to cover for you here, and this is important, is what are the benefits of going direct to the consumer? And I'll cover some of the other owner questions that we had around how, payer mix or declining reimbursements, but literally you can influence your payer mix. I'll give you one simple idea, many ideas and things we've successfully implemented, not only at Madam PT, but hundreds of other locations have done this other independent practice owners have done this as well. But you can go to the consumers or go to the companies that offer the best health insurance to their their employees. Or if you're cash pay based, there are things that your consumer, your ideal consumer, your ideal patient, there are places that they're buying from. You want to work with those companies to, again, influence your payer mix and attract more people that can afford your services, are willing to pay cash, or again, have better insurance. The second big benefit that I see is you get to build ACE. And ACE stands for authority, celebrity, and expertise. And I'm sure, as we've all been through this, you've had that patient who came through, they nodded the whole time, they were seemingly on board, and they walked out front to schedule, they forgot their schedule book, they went out to their car, and you never saw them again, right? And it kind of leaves us with this empty feeling of being disrespected, or, why did we miss all the signs? They said they were in agreement, but they weren't really in agreement. That happens. Or patients that just drop off and go MIA, right? Missing in action. How great would it be? Imagine this. You walk into exam room A. Exam room A is Jane. And you ask Jane, okay, what brings you in today, Jane? And she says, back pain or rotator cuff problem, knee, whatever it is that you treat. You say, okay, how did you end up here? And Jane says, my doctor told me to come here, right? That's the old model. That's exam room A. You walk into exam room B and it's Mary. You say, hey, Mary, what brings you in today? And she says, back pain or knee pain or rotator cuff, whatever it is. You say, great, how did you end up here? And she says, well, I went online. I saw that you were having a workshop. I downloaded your report. I read your report. I got your book. I came to the workshop and I want to be seen by you, right? All things being equal, who would you rather see, right? We know it's exam room B and Jane because, Mary, because she is significantly more likely to graduate physical therapy. She's way more likely to do her home exercises and follow through with treatment and meet her goals and get back to normal and spread the word about how great you are, right? That's what we're looking for. We went to school for 5 to 7 years to earn a master's degree or a doctorate degree or a bachelor's degree, depending on how long we've been in the game. We passed our license exam. We, came out and opened up, and wouldn't it be great if we could attract patients who respected us more and saw us as the authority or the celebrity or the expert, right? That's what we're looking for. And that happens when you learn how to go direct to the consumer. The third big benefit is it puts you in the driver's seat. It gives you control for your clinic growth and possible expansion. So whether you're adding additional square footage like we've done twice at 2 different clinics in the past year personally, or you're opening a new office like we've done in the past year and I just shared with you, and we're set to open another clinic here as well in the next few months, it puts you in control, right? There is no doubt the next clinic that we're opening up is that same ballpark, 2,500, 2,600 square feet. I have no doubt at all that we're going to be able to go direct to the consumer and fill up that space, regardless of what's going on with physician referrals in our area. Another one that I kind of alluded to already is you have higher graduation rates. Why is that important? Because point number 5, it makes your practice more valuable because you're seeing more visits, you're reactivating more patients, and you're getting more word of mouth referrals. And it makes your patient list more valuable as well. So these are all the benefits of going direct to the consumer. So can you do it? Can you replace that physician referral decline with more patients from the other 2 buckets, your past patient list and direct to the public? Absolutely. Now, the key is, how do you do that? Well, I have some goodies for you and some basic tools that you can start to implement today. And what you can do is you can head over to learnwithbreakthrough.com and you can join the hundreds of owners. I'm over there with some goodies. All the other owners that you've seen here, Stacy, TJ, Bob, Mike, Kimberly, etc. Everybody's over there. And we have some goodies for you that what you can do if you're serious about going direct to the consumer, whether you have direct access or not, you can start to implement these tools and realize the benefits. And I realize that in the beginning, for most of us, we're skeptical, right? By nature, we're scientists. We're going to do toe in the water. Great. So some simple things over there that you can implement and start getting the benefit of going direct to the consumer to navigate the private practice waters for the decline in physician referrals. Anyhow, hope this helped you out. This is Chad Madden with Breakthrough. Thank you for watching.
Thanks for watching this video. If you found this helpful and you want to learn more, then head over to learnwithbreakthrough.com to access our free in-depth training tutorials. That's learnwithbreakthrough.com. Thanks again for tuning in.